Amish mindset. Like, share, and subscribe, please. This is Allison from Alley Cat Creations. How are you? I haven't signed anything yet. I'm waiting. Patiently awaiting. I got some threatening letters in the mail today. You haven't paid your bills. I'm hoping and praying my realtor can front me some money. But I do want to thank everybody who has been contributing, helping me out in the meantime. It means a lot to me. I'm very grateful and thankful. And I hope that when I come into my abundance, whenever that will be, and things now on the timeline might be changing and I might be stuck here in a good way, but in a bad way. Like I need to get out, but I might get stuck here. I don't know. We'll see. Timelines are shifting. Major shifts are happening today. Lizzie Reptoid Queenie, who's been dead for 2 years, was just finally announced passed. If you don't know about a lot of that, you will eventually. Not going into that, but if you get anything from my work, an epiphany, a mic drop, a connect the dot, I got co-host number 2 over here, Mr. Ethan. An epiphany, a new author to read, a new book to read, please consider donating. It helps me keep going, keeping my little guy fed and my little girl, my cats, keeping me fed, keeping me going until things change. And I don't know when that's going to be because time is now in limbo, figuratively and literally, and I can't get rid of these satanic flies out of my house. Anything and all can help. So I do thank those who have been contributing. I have to save up for a storage facility in 2, not only where I live, but in the next place that I'm venturing off to, and 2 hotels, one here, one over there. And I might need movers, at least to one spot. And that all can't happen until money clears in my account, which I already would have to be moved out of my house. So things are a little bit banana nuts. I'm trying to keep my faith up. I'm trying to make and manifest things. I'm trying to manifest getting to the Truth Tour 2. I am trying to do a lot of jungling around to get things to happen in divine timing. So we'll see. But very important topic today. Cannot skip this video. The Kybalion. The Hermetic principles. This is a must read. I don't care what paradigm you're from. This is a must read because this is mathematics. This is quantum physics. This is physics explained in such a dynamic way that it applies to every component of life. And although we're not gunning to be master occultists, master negative, we're using this book for the positive, to transmute and alchemize positively mindsets, vibrations, all of it. And today we're going to go over rhythm and causation. And I did my best to make sure that it's from my insights, but I have to quote a lot from this today. So please forgive those publisher peoples. This is not to copy your work, but it's vital that people understand, and people are closed off to this idea of Hermeticism because of the stigma that's around it, because of the labels, the stereotypes, the negative Nancy things that people hear. Oh, it's not of the Bible and it's not of this, but people really don't understand the good that is from this book, and that you can apply it to everyday life and make positive changes. And we need to start doing that consciously on a collective scale. Big time. Big time. So bear in mind, it's a small book packed with so much knowledge. It's ridiculous. And if you've been following me thus far, you understand where I'm coming from, because I give good examples and I give my own examples, and please apply, because this is Amish mindset in the physicality, putting it forward. Notes. So rhythm, quote, everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates, end quote, the Kybalion. So if we take this quote, in rhythm, if you think of music, it's the same idea. Everything has a chord, a pitch, an octave. And to make a harmony, to make things sound, you have to have different pitches, different tones, different vibrations, whether it be low or high. So the same thing is being exampled here in the tides. You have low tide, you have high tide. They come in, they come out. The swing of the pendulum. We talked about in polarization. You have your negative pole, you have your positive pole. We have our positive pole, we have our negative pole, or we have our positive pole, we have our negative pole. Whatever you want to equate, we inhabit both. The law of polarity. We have both poles inside of us, because in third density, third dimension, we are living in duality. That's what this realm and plane of existence is. So we have to move by the laws in which it enables in nature. The fifth Hermetic principle. Everything manifested, emotion that's measured, movement, flow, swing, ebbs and flows. Both positive and negative polarity manifest on the physical plane of existence, as well as mental and spiritual planes. So this is why the Kybalion is very important, because we're not just talking about materialism, the material reality that we live in. We're also expanding that to our will, our mind, our consciousness, and to the spiritual higher self, spirit guides, the intangible plane of existence that some people can see and some people can't. Right. And that's not putting anybody on a podium or a pedestal. Some people can perceive that and some people cannot. That there's nothing wrong with that. So they're going threefold into these principles. They're not just talking about the material world, the tangible world that we are inhabiting. They're also using this to transmute and to look into how to manipulate in a positive light. For our instances, oh goodness, I have a cat fight. Hang on, I have hissing. Sorry about that, guys. My little side note, my two little guys are going to be in close quarters with each other. Here's co-host number one. And they have to learn to live with each other in closer quarters. And this one might have instigated a little fight there. I can't with these demonic things. And these cats are worthless. They don't go after the flies. I'm going to see if I can get some stickier tape and try to catch them. See, she's seeing shit right now because he's not even upstairs. He's hiding. This is my little protector. Anywho, both principles, polarity and rhythm, are connected closely. Quote, rhythm manifests between the two poles established by the principle of polarity. With rhythm, it expresses itself not in the extreme poles, although, what did I write here? Rare. It does occur, but it happens between on a scale always toward one pole than the other. So it's like taking, just showing like physics and like the ball ripple. It's like you start the pendulum swing up here and it knocks into the ball and then it ripples back. It's the rhythm in between those balls. If that analogy works and we can insert it in here. That's kind of the idea. That we're not focused on the extremes, the whole tippy top of the positive and the whole tippy bottom of the negative. We're focused more in where the neutral zone is, the center. But the motion comes from one way, then goes to the other. The principle manifests in creation and destruction of worlds, the rise and fall of all things, and states of man. Earth, Terra, Gaia, consciousness, human emotions, cycles of being, first density, second density, all has its rises and falls. Each planet goes through a cycle. We go through seasons. We have death and rebirth constantly. And that's what really, in the nutshell, is that's what it's talking about. It's also our state. It's our life cycle. It has to have rhythm and a cycle. The universe at large reaches the extreme low point of materiality, then begin the climb upward swing. The same with stars. Again, the star has a birth and a death and a rebirth. Birth, growth, death, and rebirth. Cycle encompasses this manifestation of rhythm. This can be inserted with materialistic to mental to spiritual trends, philosophies, nations, maturity, the swing of the pendulum. We're seeing that now, right now, this very moment in time, space, third density. We're watching history being made. We are participating in making that change. We are all encompassing a rebirth as we're watching the death of the old. We were born into this life. We self-identified. We've been indoctrinated. We've been fed lies. And now the whole paradigm is being flipped. We're consciously awakening as a totality to seeing what the real truth of things are, because they've been hidden from us and we've been indoctrinated, we've been brainwashed. We're now slowly coming out of this slumber to realize that the old has to die in order to be rebirthed. And the death of the old, what we would want to call the norm, there is no new normal, and we're not going back to what you consider normal. It's going to be a whole new plane of existence. It's going to be new ways of doing things, and there's an adjustment period. As things die out, new things come in. It's just the cycle of rhythm. It's the principle of rhythm and polarity. We're doing this right now in human history. And this is also on the mental plane, because it's not just a physicality thing. It's not just people dying and watching truth be given out. I can't with these fucking things. It's also a spiritual battle. There are things that aren't seen with our naked eyes in this physical reality that are happening in other planes of existence above us and below us that are affecting us at every heartbeat. There are shifts happening in time space in our continuum, because there is no time up and out of the ether in our existence and plane of knowing. We're swinging to the positive, unbeknownst to so many people. We are moving into a positive, but right now it feels like death. That's what I'm going through in my own life, mentally, spiritually, and physically. I'm purging, I'm giving away what no longer serves me. I had to go to the pawn shop today again with the last of what I had in order to make bills. And not all of them could get paid. I was so overdrawn in all my accounts with fees that I owed a lot. But this is my rebirth. I'm in the death cycle right now. I'm going through the cycle of dying my old self, the old Allison, the old paradigm, in the mental plane and on the spiritual plane and the physical, because look, I'm wasting away. Actually, I gained a pound. I went to clean a friend's house and I stood on the scale. I was a pound heavier. Super excited. But still, 106 isn't healthy for me. But I'm going through this whole rebirth. But I'm going through the death cycle still, because I haven't gotten to my destination yet. I'm still in purgatory and Dante's. That's why I read Dante's Inferno. I'm going down those layers and going through those challenges and going through the lessons that I need in order to get out on the other side, back into the light. You could take that book too and apply this to that book, his allegory. So we're all doing that in our own individual way. We have cycles in life, and in order to break those cycles, you got to purge, you got to let go, you have to learn. And once you learn, you break the cycle. Then you start watching things die and fall away from you in order to come into a rebirth and a new cycle. And this is just the repeating pattern of rhythm. Quote, I don't know if I'm quoting this so much, or the corpuscles, molecules, atoms, and all masses of matter swing with the circle of their nature. So even on a quantum level, a molecular level, this happens in atoms and neutrinos and neutrons and all of those fun things. Absolute rest doesn't exist. movement a part of rhythm? There is no such thing as rest because everything is in motion. Everything. Everything. The master hermeticists used transmutation and the understanding of the lower and higher consciousness to get out of the swing of the lower consciousness to achieve the higher plane. This is where a lot of people, even myself, this has taken me years. Okay, this is not just something that happens overnight. It's your mindset change. That's how it's another changing your mindset is like transmutation. It's alchemizing. It's catching yourself in the feeling, the emotion, the negative thought pattern. It's consciously identifying it as it's happening and putting a stop to it. This is not easy. You can be in mid-sentence talking to a friend, talking to family, talking to whoever, and all of a sudden you're like, uh-oh, I'm repeating this cycle. I'm feeling negative. I'm talking, I'm complaining, I'm doing whatever it is, that you're catching it in the moment, and then you put a halt to it and like, all right, wait a second, clear, cancel, cut out. Shh. Wait. And then backtrack yourself and go, okay, I'm complaining again. I'm doing this, I'm exhibiting this pattern again. Why? Once you identify that pattern, you can transmute it to something positive. Okay, instead of thinking all the time in the negative, yes, you have to be logical and realistic about life and reality. Things aren't always going to go your way. There's a reason for it. I consciously am aware in my situation that I have to go through this because this is the cycle I am breaking. I'm breaking ancestral, breaking my own, and I'm going to start anew. The problem is with most people, there's the outside influence of environment, of other people that you cannot control. You can't control your out exterior beyond yourself. You can put your toroidal field, you could put your shields, you could be the lightest being in the world. You still can't control another person. You shouldn't be doing that anyway. And if you have the capabilities, really think about what you're doing. Influencing others for positive measures is fine. Like, I like sloth videos and I'm going to share my sloth videos, or I'm going to tell you a joke and I want you to laugh. That's different. But in essence, the master hermeticist is able to stop these things, transmute them into something better or a higher consciousness. Instead of thinking on the 3D, now we're going to think on the 5D. What would a 5D density being be thinking about? How can we take this situation and think higher? You could still be realistic and logical in your thinking, but you're using your higher consciousness. You're raising your awareness. Okay, let's take the view of a bird swooping down. What are they seeing? Because when you're here, you can't see the grander picture. You're only seeing a little, your perspective in what's around you. If you're a bird soaring, you're seeing everything out, forward, behind, and back. You're seeing it on all angles and all perspectives, besides the one that's above you as the bird. But when you look down and see, oh shit, that's in front of me. Let's focus on that. Let's think positively, because thinking negatively isn't going to get me there any quicker than I'm thinking positively. But if I think positive, I'm going to transmute, I'm going to manifest quicker. The law of neutralization. The swing of the pendulum happens in the unconscious plane, where the consciousness was not affected. Quote, its operations consist in the raising of the ego above the vibrations of the unconscious plane of mental activity, so that the negative swing of the pendulum is not manifested in consciousness, and therefore they are not affected. End quote. The master polarizes themselves at the desired pole, not allowing or refusing to partake in the backward swing or not having it influence him. So most people are unconscious and use their subconscious a lot more than they use their consciousness. Sometimes people just talk and they're not aware of what's coming out of their mouth, or they're semi-aware. But some people project things that they really don't understand how they're making other people feel. That's why I want the powder. Oh, shit. That's how I'm making you feel? Oh, man, I'm sorry. Because some people project things and they're not self-aware that they're making the other self, the other version of them, you, feel bad. But if you take your ego and rise that vibration up, you're not going to allow yourself to swing back. Because again, we're always swinging. So neutralization is being neutral, but now not allowing yourself to come swing back. You're only swinging forward. If that makes sense. This principle can aid us with our emotional state and implement the law of neutralization with courage. Comes fear, all moods fluctuate. We are human. We have hormones. Sometimes we can't help them. Females know a lot about that during certain periods of time in a month. And even though, again, here we go, even though females are understanding those things, those cycles that happen, sometimes we cannot help. The chemical balance in our body might be off. Sometimes we are projecting things that, trigger us to cry out of nowhere. Like, why are you crying over some stupid shit? I can't help it. Hormones. Okay, so we have chemicals in our body that makes us alive. Sometimes most people can't overcome those. And this is where a lot of the work in humanity needs to come in. Is, okay, once you identify that you're having an emotional day, how can you transmute that into being positive? If you feel negative and shit's happening, how can you project and feel it inside more of a positive balance? It's not easy, and it takes a long time to master. This is why this book is so important. This is why, okay, I feel like tense right now. Ugh. I can't wait. And I saged. This is why this is important, because this work needs to get done collectively, and it's on both genders. So again, Females understand this component. Males, you've seen females do this, that there is a lot of mastery that comes involved with the human body. Being able to control one's emotions, hormones, chemicals inside the body. This all plays into each other. All of it. And once we're able to identify and to put a stop to the negative swing, we then start mastering how to swing upwards. The law of compensation, counterbalance. The swing in one direction determines the opposite direction. The balance of seasons, the clock, the tides follow this law. The law is constant on the physical plane. It's all in the math and the physics, which is true. The clock goes around equal to one side, then to the other. We have seasons. We have 2, spring and summer, that the flowers grow and all the abundance comes. And then we have fall and winter, where you harvest, you have nothing, you have, and then you plant your seeds, and then here comes spring again. The tides, it's the same thing. It's all the cycles. This is all cyclical. Quote, but the Hermeticists go still further in this matter. They teach that before one is able to enjoy a certain degree of pleasure, he must have swung as far, proportionately, toward the other pole of feeling, end quote. So you must know both from pain and pleasure, because we're in duality. We have 2 poles. We need to know one from the other. We need to have both experiences. Counterbalance. This also applies to past lives when it comes to rhythmic swing. Quote, the law of compensation is either in operation, striving to balance and counterbalance, and always succeeding in time, even though several lives may be required for the return swing of the pendulum of rhythm, end quote. So, this is why we get to choose each lifetime what lessons we're going to work on and who we're going to work on them with, and why my example, the first part of my life has been nothing but survival mode, nothing but alienation, abandonment, loss, nothing but just making it, not being in my purview, okay, in my going through this, like this realm of existence, in this body avatar, in this consciousness. I have never amounted to anything that has ever gotten me success in terms of being able to eat and take care of myself. I'm always just able to, I'm never comfortable. I'm never living beyond my means, but I am not ever able to expend myself to have an enjoyable time. Ever. Right? Everybody can save up and go to Cancun and go, I've seen everybody's summer pictures of all the great holidays that people have, but I was never able to do that. If I was able to do that, it was because my parents helped me out to do that, not on my own. So I have never been able to be successful in any venture of my life that I did something and got a reward out of it. That's not to say I'm not happy, and that's not to say that that might not change, but this is the first part and component of my life. Now I'm looking at, well, what did I do in my past lives, which I've had a lot, that I am now finishing out all the lessons I need to have an upswing, to just have a do-over, say, we're going to have a clean slate now. Let's have the second part of this existence go better for you, because this first part, you had all these lessons to overcome and all these obstacles and hurdles to jump over so that you could start your mission and help humanity. Amish mindset. That's one part of one of many missions that I'm here to do, is to help spread abundance. Help others start seeing that they have that capability of being helpful to others, because it's your other self that you're helping. And this is all in rhythm. So if you come into this life and you've had a hard life, maybe in a past life you had a positive life and you had everything and all the riches in the world. You don't know. Many of us can remember only a part of some, but not the totality of every life we lived. In time, I'm sure we're going to come to that. Some of us had some very up lives, and then in other lives we got compensated with the full upswing. But again, the swing goes both ways. Each life that we live, we choose these experiences to learn from. So not everything should be seen in a negative light, but we have to go through the pain in order to come out the other end. Does this make sense? I hope so. Tell me in the comments. This is a good quote. Quote, but the Hermeticists go still further in this matter, and that's in the law of compensation. They teach that before one is able to enjoy a certain degree of pleasure, he must have swung as far proportionately toward the other pole of feeling. So I'm rereading this again because I think it's important to understand perspective. We all have highs and lows in life. We all have ebbs and flows, right? We're not in a constant state of excitement. It would be crazy if we did. We'd be manic, called the manic, right? Manic depressant. Perfect example. Someone being super, super manic and then crashing down to the like it two extremes. But you have to know both. Quote, maybe not quote. We always need to have that counterbalance in understanding that we don't want to hit those extremes, that we want to come to a neutral point. So we're not swinging to the extremes, we're swinging in. We're moody, we're bitchy, we complain, but we also experience pleasure and happiness. Nothing is in totality, nothing is absolute, because things are always in constant motion. Right? There are days that people fluctuate on a daily basis, things trigger them off, and they're like, and then, it's up to you to transmute so you can get to neutrality. On wikipedia.org, quote, this principle embodies the truth that there is always a correspondence between the laws of phenomena of the various planes of being and life. Quote, nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. It's true. right? She's giving me kitty kisses. On www.thewanderingalchemist.com, and I like this person a lot. Rhythm meaning any regular recurring motion, symmetry, or movement. Quote, Newton's third law of motion also speaks on the principle of rhythm when he states, quote, for every action, there is an opposite and equal reaction, end quote. Quote, this principle is the catalyst in which we adjust ourselves to find more balance and peace of mind, end quote. So this is vital in our everyday lives to find that peace of mind, to be not to wanting to be content, but like seeing the glass half full. It's not depleted and it's not full, but you're okay with the water being halfway. And you're going to move on to trying to get more water to fill that cup where you don't want to be depleted. And that's the mindset that we need to take on, is the fact that we come back to neutrality and we build up from there. We try to swing the pendulum up slowly through succession in the varying degrees and octaves that we have. We can't sit in one spot. We are constantly in motion, even though if our body is here, we're still moving inside. Our cells are moving, our blood is being pumped, air is going in and out. We have a lot of functions we are unconsciously unaware of all the time. If we thought about how our body and every molecule is being moved every second of our existence, we'd be nuts. So try to find the neutrality in that, because I think it's very important that we do so. Causation, cause and effect. Quote, every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law, end quote, the Kybalion. The sixth principle, cause and effect, quote, embodies the truth that law pervades the universe, that nothing happens by chance, that chance is merely a term indicating cause existing, but not recognized or perceived, that phenomena is continuous without break or exception, end quote. I'm going to quote a lot here. Quote, the principle of cause and effect has been accepted as correct by practically all the thinkers of the world worthy. To think otherwise would be to make the phenomena of the universe from the domain of law in order and to relegate it to the control of imaginary something which men have called chance, end quote. In the dictionary, it says chance, a supposed agent or mode of activity other than a force, law, or purpose, the operation or activity of such. My handwriting is so damn sloppy sometimes. Or activity of such agent. The supposed effect of such an agent, a happening, fortuity, causality, etc. Quote, we can imagine nothing outside of the all, remember the all encompassing all is source, being outside of the law and order. And that only because the all is the law in itself. There is no room in the universe for a something outside and independent of the law. End quote. Chance can equate to fall, like throwing dice. When a number shows up after it falls, it still obeys a law. Putting action into motion, a cause and effect, throwing in the physics, the dice. 6 numbers on each side of the cube. And when it falls by chance or the law of physics, it hits on a spot on whatever surface, and then you have a result, an effect. Nothing happens by chance, by the way. It's the laws of physics. It's putting action into motion that has a cause and effect. It's when we say chance, there is no such thing as chance. When it comes to this, because you still have to put action into motion. The results might be different every time, but if you do it enough times, we start using mathematical terms like the average on when you flip a coin or you throw the dice, how many times does 6 come up? We used to do this with the kids all the time in school to teach them math. Like, how many times do you have to throw the dice to get to 2 or to 3? How many times? Here's the game. How many times do you flip the dice, write down and mark it down? But you're still putting the action into motion in physics to throw an object to get a result. The law of average can come up with the times throwing a coin and seeing the chances of heads and tails coming up. The cause is throwing the coin, the effect is what it lands on. I'm going to clarify. I know this is not an easy topic. The chain of cause and effect comes from our ancestors. If every action taken or not taken determine our existence and course, and our actions determines the next generation, it causes a change, a chain of events. Amish mindset. Let me explain. If your ancestors didn't take certain steps of survival, they wouldn't have been able to have the children to seed the next generation that seeded the next generation, that seeded the next generation, that seeded the next generation. If we think in simplistic terms, I'm not talking about ETs and people coming down and genetically modifying us and star seeds and souls. I'm not talking about that. It's the vessel itself. If Homo sapien didn't exist, those were our ancestors, and they didn't survive or have the means of understanding how to survive, we wouldn't be here. It's our everyday actions that we put into motion that have a cause and effect. If we continue on the path that we're on right now, we're going to have a negative effect. If we continue to put into the action motion to change the world, to change humanity, to seed the kids by showing by example, they're going to know never to make these mistakes again. A lot of us weren't aware that these mistakes even occurred until what we call the Great Awakening, what we call the higher consciousness, the ascension, Christ consciousness, agape, whatever you want to call it. We are now seeding the next generation we are taking care of, if you're on the older spectrum, these children. You're leading the way by example. So if you're setting good examples and you're showing the truth and you're moving consciously, having the kids critically think and thinking for themselves and teaching them these, hey, you know what, if you feel this way, let's reset that. Why do we feel this way? Let's dig in a little deeper. What triggered you? What caused you to have this reaction? Well, let's work on that, because we can have a better effect if we use this method to change our way of thinking to get a better positive reaction or effect. There's a chain of succession. If we all come together and start showing and directing the next generation, then they're seeding the next generation, and they're seeding, and they're seeding, and they're seeding. It's a chain. This does not, however, insert free will. Quote, the principle of polarity shows that both are but half-truths, the opposing poles of truth. The teachings are that a man may be both free and yet bound by necessity. I'm in that right now. Depending upon the means of the terms and the height of truth from which the matter is examined, end quote. The ancients expressed, quote, the further the creation is from the center, the more it is bound. The nearer the center it reaches, the nearer free it is, end quote. What we're having right now. There's a lot of half-truths out there, right? Why do I have this channel? Because I pluck the truth out of things that I see the truth. You might not see my truth. Someone else might not see my truth, but for me, what resonates with me and what resonates with you is your truth. But I'm not free. I'm free thinking, I have critical thinking, but I'm bound by necessity. And what is necessity right now? I'm bound to the fact that I need 3D existence to help me keep myself fed, keep my cats alive, keep me with shelter, keep me alive. I'm bound here, I'm enslaved here for those purposes. Because in my 3D form, I need shelter, food, water to survive. All of us do. When you're in the center, you're in neutrality. With the whole, with all of us together. When we're further apart from each other and further out and out and out and out and out, we can't fight for that freedom because we're not joined and do it together as a whole. This is where we need to take whatever communities you're in. We all need to come center stage. We all need to come to a center. And there's compromise in those centers. There's a lot of perceptions that need to be included. A lot of things aren't included because a lot of people don't see the whole totality. They're only seeing their little piece of the portion. But if we all come together and all bring our ideas and perceptions forward respectfully, we'd be stronger as communities, no matter what those communities are. But the further away you are, the further you are away from being free. Because you're spread out. And yes, we want to go with the allegory of the cave and thus spoke Zarathustra, Mr. Nisha. But it always comes back to, you got to come together. because you could fight the strong fight together. You can't do that separate. I mean, you can, but it takes a lot more effort and exertion to do so. You need the will to transmute the norms to manifest in reality. You need to have a strong will. You need to will it. If you read Schopenhauer, you understand what the will is, the phenomenon of the will, the priori and prior. The will to transmute the norms to manifest into reality. The norms are the ideals. You have to be, people are obedient to environment, not realizing the wills of others who's stronger influencing society. So you might have the will to live, but there are people who have the will to succeed and to be above you. There's always different levels of consciousness, and people can over exude their will on yours. It's knowing when to rise up and using your willpower to rise up and manifest better and higher. The masters knowing the rules or the game, think of it as chess, rise above the plane of material life. Most are pawns on the chessboard, playing their roles. And then when they're taken off the chessboard, they're held. And then they wait until the game is refreshed. The idea is mastering you and dominating your environment. How do you become not a pawn? How do you become a bishop or a rook? How do you become the king and queen on the chess game? You have to outsmart and outplay somebody. So you have to take the action into motion to learn to make smarter moves, to have the willpower to learn, to have the willpower to put cause into effect into a positive motion, to transmute the negative. You have to have the willpower to do so to make those changes. No one's going to do that for you. No one's going to do the inner work for you. No one, unless asked, a respectful person won't stop you to say, do you know how you're projecting towards me is not okay? I asked people to do that for me. When I was out of bounds, wasn't aware of how I was projecting myself, I asked people to do that. I'm like, when I start doing this and I'm not aware of it, and you see I'm just, stop me and say, Allison, hi. Remember what you told me? Oh, shit, I'm doing it again. Some people won't do that for you. They're not cognizant of it, but some will. It took me years to change my mindset. I'm still changing it. Still. But I'm having more compassion towards other perceptions. I'm seeing the sides of both coins. You know, people get very defensive when you speak on something that they're very passionate about. But sometimes they're not seeing the other side of a coin. They're not taking it into account. So when people project certain things onto them, they get defensive and they get angry. When the person that's just projecting their truth or how they are feeling just wants to point out, like, you know, you're making me feel bad because X, Y, and Z. It's not to upset you. It's just to point it out to you. Like, this is hurting my feelings because I come and, you know, put effort into motion to try to be an abundant person. But sometimes You could be projecting somehow, and this is affecting me in a negative way. So knowing the rules of the game, knowing how to play the game. And not everybody's going to come to knowing the game or the rules on their own. But once you know, and once you start playing and putting your toes in the water and start getting experience and start trying and doing, you're going to be able to alchemize and transmute cause and effect so that it works for you and not against you. It's understanding both sides of the game and being played and outmaneuvering the other side. Outmaneuvering yourself if you're sitting in a negative swing. It's how do you take the rhythm and move it to the positive, or at least into neutrality. Quote, the masters do not escape the causation of the higher planes, but fall in with the higher laws, and thus master circumstances on the lower plane. So we're always advancing. This doesn't end. Third density only becomes fourth density and fifth density and sixth density. And there's always more and higher laws that we will have to obtain. But it's understanding and mastering what we have now in order to move up. And as a collective, we're not there to shift to fourth yet because we're not here yet. We didn't master. Many of us have. Many of us are still working on it. We need to be patient. But we can give solutions to people. We can stop people respectfully and say, do you know how you're projecting yourself right now? Let's think of a way we can alchemize this and transmute it to something where this can work in your favor. Amish mindset. What are you abundant in that you can give? How do you give your energy and exert it in a positive way to make a positive impact that has a cause and effect for the greater good? It's how we are applying this principle, all of these principles, into action and to put it into motion. Causation. We want positive causes and effects for the world. Negative things do have to happen for us to awaken. Today's an example. We have to have positive cause and effect. We have to have a positive mindset, or at least a neutral. It's not easy being depleted, always been in depleted, and trying to move up because you always know from just a struggle standpoint, a survival standpoint. But if we are always in survival mode, it's not healthy for you. How do we move from that mindset? Putting action into motion to get help. Putting action into motion and trying to better yourself. Putting action into motion to at least catch yourself consciously when you're projecting out negative. Stopping to think, oh, I'm being too judgmental. Or I'm not taking another perspective in mind. It's very vital that we start doing that. Very vital. And it's vital because it's what we're moving into consciously as a humanity. We're all here trying to better the world, I'd hope. Ask yourself, what inner work do you still need to transmute to better your life? It doesn't end. The masters still have to obey the laws and still have to play the chess game on each level. It's like 5D chess. It's moving up to different levels, and there will be different challenges. There will be different things to neutralize, and then to transmute. It's always coming to the mindset that you have to pick up on the rhythm, pick up on the cycle, how to stop the cycle from repeating again, if it's negative, to swing it up to the positive. We're always going to have a death and a rebirth, growth and birth. Those cycles never end. They continuously happen. Suns die. Suns nova. Energy's expanded, and then a new star forms. And life begins all over again. So we have to look at things in micro and a macrocosm, internally and externally. You got to do the inner work. And there are people out there willing to stop you in your tracks and say, have you considered how you're thinking and expressing yourself right now is not healthy? All right, stop, take some breaths. How do we make this change into a positive? How do we project more positively? How do we stop judging or making our opinions absolute? I'm noticing that too. It's like, it's my opinion, it's my way. No, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to filter you out because I don't get what you're saying, or I don't resonate what you're saying. But nope, my opinion is absolute. You can't go. No, no, no. We're never going to get forward and move forward if everybody has to be right. We can compromise. We can come together in the center. You can agree to disagree. Most of the people watch me are adults, and if you're of the younger sort, understand that adults don't play well with each other because they know best. But if you're willing to give a little bit, and they're willing to give a little bit, and you can come to a compromise and say, okay, like you think that way, that's great. Okay, but please respect my opinion and project better. And then we move forward, and the upward swings together. Even if our opinions are different or we resonate with different things, we're still moving in a good positive direction. Remember, half-truths. Not everything is the truth. There's truths within lies, within white lies, within falsehoods, within truths. And a lot of stuff is out of our comprehension because we're not meant to know it right now. We won't know it all until we're back with the all. And all of us collectively have the all, but we all collectively can't come together yet because we haven't moved up. We haven't worked together. We haven't played nice. We're not transmuting properly. And we could do this. We are capable of it. But the principles they're applying right now, we got to take advantage of being the master of the chess game. We need to understand the moves. We need to do the inner work so that we realize that none of us are perfect. We're perfect in our own little way, but we always will be learning, and we need to take these lessons into account in order to move up and in order to make humanity better and to get along. So let's apply these principles. Let's use the Amish mindset. Let's come together and work together to build a greater future. That's what it's about. That's what we're moving into. So I hope you enjoyed Rhythm and Causation, because those are both excellent and synced with what has happened in the last 24 hours. A lot's going to come out, and it's going to be scary. But remember, don't swing in fear. Come to neutrality. Be open-minded enough to understand the other perspective. Swing. And we can all in the center move together, upswing. Remember, life is ebb and flow. We have cycles. And we need to take that into account with the world and what's happening now. The old is dying and we're trying to rebirth. And it's happening in unison right now. So the death is happening, but we're trying to rebirth. The rebirth is a swing up, right? And then we're going to grow. We're here at this point, but we're still in the death stage. New earth. Consciousness. I hope that makes sense to some people. I don't know. Some things resonate and some things don't. Some people get it, some people don't. It's okay if you don't. I read this stuff and I'm exploding with so many different ways of explaining things. So I hope I'm projecting this out. If you are amazing at Hermeticism, metaphysics, please write down how you see things in the comments, because I love to read that stuff anyway. Not too many people comment, by the way. Some people do. And I'm excited to see them. How do you want to express it? What examples can you give? Again, it's just not about Allison. It's about all of us. So please don't feel shy. Join in the conversation. I, again, don't know my situation. Still in limbo. I'm not in limbo, thankfully, outside of my control yet, because that's coming. That's definitely incoming. I'm still in control. Don't know when I'm signing papers. Don't know the closing. I don't know any of this stuff right now. So I'm still here trying to do what I can while I'm trying to start honing in on getting the last of the things out to the garbage, trying to find more boxes to box stuff up, and trying to get rid of other things that I can give away. And then the big push to move is on its way. So right now I'm still capable of doing readings. I'm still doing, but I don't know when that's going to stop, or if it does stop. I just want to let you guys know where I am. I'll be okay. I will pop on when I get hotel internet. We'll see. But that shouldn't be for a little bit. So keep watching, keep liking, subscribing. Each and every one of you that does that is putting it into the algorithm. New people get to be exposed to it, and those new people might need what I have to say, maybe not. It doesn't matter. It grabs more people. And that is you exerting your abundance in your energy by doing me a favor, which is upswinging me and everybody else, because I'm a helper. So I hope you enjoyed this Kybalion. I can't urge you guys enough. This is a really fascinating read. I think these principles are in the universal laws that are applied in everyday life. This is something that can help you. Please read this book. Sending each and every one of you love and light. Until the next time, I hope to see you. For all of those who have lost somebody, whether in the fight, in the buildings, 9/11 is this weekend, I'm sending each and every one of you love and light on massive levels. I was in the city that day. I witnessed and watched it all occur. I went on the Verrazano Bridge and saw the whole harbor. I saw the whole aftermath. It was a day that I will never in my life forget. I walked through it, witnessed it, and experienced it for my entire college career. My bus passed by that zone every day. I witnessed and saw things and dealt with things. It's not an easy day for a lot of people, and for it should be for the country. Please be safe. You should do this every day, but hug who you have near you closer each and every day. We don't know. Yes, we're immortal, but in this physical avatar, we never know when it's our time. So don't take things for granted. Be safe. Paradigm has been shifting, timelines are shifting. Just be aware that things are going to get better. We're in the death stage and we're going to make it through together, guys. Just be safe, be sane, and start doing the work. Till the next time, guys. Bye.